Alright guys, here's the practice test. Let's go over a few of these guys. As you can see, 1, 2, and 3 are really easy to do. All you're doing is distributing. I want to do number 3 for you. So I want to distribute. You have x times x, that is x squared. And you have x times positive 7, that's positive 7x. And then I want to change colors here to help you out. We have a negative 7 here that we're going to distribute with the positive x, so that'll give you a negative 7x. And negative 7 times a positive 7, that'll be a negative 49. And of course the middle terms could be combined, the positive 7x and the negative 7x, and if you combine those, since they're opposite, they cancel out. So your final answer is x squared minus 49. Boom. Let's move on to something more fun. That was too easy. Number 1, 2, and 3, those are like free points. You're welcome. So let's move on to... Let's pick one of these 4 through. Let's do number 6. Looks good. Why not? So number 6. It's a standard form quadratic trinomial. The a value is 1. So we could just think what times what is the last number that if you combine gives you the middle value. Okay. What times what is c that if you add together is b. I always say make a list. It's the easiest, best way to approach it. So 1 times 28, that's how you could get 28. Or maybe 2 times 14. Or 3 times 7, 3 times, no, 3 doesn't work. How about 4? 4 times 7, yeah, 5, nope, 6, no, that's it. It's either 1. So, if you think about which pair of numbers combines together to give you the middle value 6, it doesn't work. So what do we say? We say not factorable. So let's try a different one that is factorable. What else? Let's see. Number 10 is a good one because you have a perfect square number, perfect square term in the front, perfect square term in the back. So you should be able to just set up your parentheses and do the square root of 25x squared, which is 5x, and do the square root of 49, which is 7, and again repeat it, 5x and 7, and then think, how's the only way that you could get a negative 49 at the very end? If you have a positive 7 times a positive 7, no, that won't work. So the pluses right there will not work. Bottom line is one has to be a positive, one has to be a negative in order to get the negative 49 at the end. And that's how to factor that one. I'm holding off on the Jaime Escalante method ones. Okay, whatever. Let's just do it, huh? Let's not do 11. Let's do 12. 12 is a good one. Step 1 on Jaime Escalante is to multiply a times c. Step 2 on Jaime Escalante is to think of the multiples of the answer from step 1 that combine to give you the middle value b. So let me make a list of numbers here. I'm going to go, how could I get 12? I could go 1 times 12. I could go 2 times 6 and 3 times 4. That is an ugly 4. Okay. And now which pair of numbers actually combines together to give me the middle value, which happens to be negative 8 right here? Well, if you add those, it's 13. If you add this, is 8. Yeah, right here it is, 8. But you want it to be a negative 8. So what we're going to do is simply change the sign, make it a negative 2 and a negative 6, and that would be our correct pair of numbers that we want for step 2. Let's move on to step 3. Step 3 is to make two fractions with that pair of numbers, the negative 2 and the negative 6, as denominators, with the a value, which happens to be 3, as the numerator, right there and right there. And step 4 would simply be to reduce and plug. Let me do step 4 over here. You're going to reduce the first fraction. When you think about 3 over negative 2, you can't reduce it. We're just going to leave it. So the reduced fraction is the same, 3 over negative 2. And the other fraction, 3 over negative 6, that reduces down to 1 over negative 2. So step 4 is reduce and plug. So when we plug it in our answer format, we have the top number, 3, with an x, and then the minus 2 by itself. Top number, 1, with an x, I'm not even going to put the 1 in front of there, and the minus 2 at the end. And ladies and gentlemen, we have factored. Let's move on. Okay, instantly zoomed out. Let's see what else we could do. Let's move on to the solving quadratic equations. Remember, guys, whenever you apply a square root, you simply put a plus minus in front of your answer. So let's take a look at, let's go for a challenging one here. 17 is a good one. Okay, so what are we going to do here? We're going to first subtract 10. Remember, we want to get x by itself. So we want to get rid of everything. And how do you get rid of something? You do the opposite, right? So the plus 10, you get rid of it by doing a minus 10. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. You subtract 10 over there. Looks like a dot. Should be a subtraction. There you go. The 10s cancel out. The 37 take away 10 becomes 27. Okay. Bring down the equal sign. What else? We have the 3x plus 1 squared. Apologize for the ugly writing. And then we need to get rid of the 3. So we're going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. What do we have left? We have x plus 1 in parentheses squared equals 9. How do we get rid of the square? What's the opposite of a square? A square root. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. And what do I have left? Actually, the square root disappears. I mean, the square root and the square cancel each other out. The square root of 9 is 3. But remember, put a plus minus in front of your answer. So we're almost done here. I'm actually going to have to move this paper over a little to the side. And let me continue up here. Okay. What am I going to do? I still need to get x by itself. So I need to get rid of this plus 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 and subtract 1. But you can't just say 3 take away 1 because it's a plus minus 3. So you actually have to rewrite the whole thing. The 1's canceled out. And what do we have left? Well, we have x on the left side equals, and we have the negative 1 plus or minus 3. Now the negative 1 plus or minus 3 is actually two answers. It's negative 1 plus 3, and it's also negative 1 minus 3. Okay, so the negative 1 plus 3, that gives us an answer of x equals 2. And the negative 1 minus 3 gives us an answer of x equals negative 4. Ta-da! So on 13 through 17, all we're doing is isolating x squared. And whenever you have a square, you square root to get rid of it. So you just get x by itself, the way we would do in Algebra 1. Number 18, 19, 20, and those guys, that's where we have to apply a factoring at times. Actually, not on 19. But on 18, we have to factor. So what's in common? Well, you have x's in both. If you pull out an x, you'll have an x minus 7 equals 0, which means that you could use a zero product property to split them. This first x could be set equal to 0, and you should do it, and that's an actual answer. And then the x minus 7 should also be set equal to 0. That's a zero product property, that when you have something times something equals 0, you could split that one and this one and set them each equal to 0 and then solve. So the first one is solved for us already. The x minus 7, you go plus 7, and you'll get x equals 7, and that is your final answer on that one. So that's two answers on 18. 19, you do the same as the other ones. Isolate x, get rid of the square by doing a square root. Number 20, piece of cake, because we're using factoring. It's a standard form quadratic trinomial with the a value of 1. So that's really easy to do. You simply factor like this. Set it equal to 0. That'll be an x and an x. And you think what times what is negative 14? That if you combine together is negative 5. You could make a list if you want to. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to go negative 7 times a positive 2. That'll give me negative 14. And if I combine it together, it really does give me the negative 5. So I split it now. And have this. And my final answer will be x equals 7, positive, and right here, subtract 2, x equals negative 2. Those are my two answers on number 20.